For suicide prevention, it is extremely important to better understand how different messages about suicide and suicide prevention relate to help seeking and suicide in the population. In this study, we focused on a very specific narrative, a very specific message, Logic Song 1-800-273-8255, prominently featuring the telephone number of the national US crisis service, the Lifeline. This narrative is very unique in two regards. First, it's a song, very different from the traditional prevention messaging. And second, it does not focus on a suicide death, on near fatal injury. Instead, it's not even about suicide. It's really a story of hope and resilience. It depicts a young black man who is bullied for being gay and considers suicide, but then takes the phone and calls the crisis line, which marks a turning point towards improvement. And this is a classic story of hope and recovery. We know for quite some time already that specific narratives about suicide death are associated with imitation effects, which means they are associated with increases in suicides in the population once they are reported. This is particularly the case when it comes to the reporting about celebrity deaths from suicide. Recent data suggests that after the reports about celebrity suicides, there's an increase of 13% in suicides in the population in the month after the reporting. And media guidelines for suicide reporting are the means to really mitigate the risk of such narratives. So we know from studies that by far not all messages about suicide and prevention have harmful effects. Instead, there is relatively new findings, particularly from experimental research, so from randomized controlled trials, which suggests that narratives that focus on hope and recovery, just like the Logic Song, reduce suicidal ideation in vulnerable audiences as compared to control groups. A main gap in knowledge, however, has been that these types of stories typically do not get a sufficiently large audience in order to make broad behavioral impacts across a population. And the Logic Song was really a unique example of which is different because it really yielded a large, sustained footprint in the population and in the media. So we found that during periods of large public attention to Logic Song, there was an increase in calls to the Lifeline. It was more than 9,000 additional calls to the Lifeline, which is an increase of about 6.9% in this 34-day period. And during the same period, there was also a drop in suicides, 245 fewer suicides than expected, which is a drop of 5.5%. So these findings are really of crucial importance for suicide prevention because they highlight that stories of hope and recovery can have a strong behavioral impact in a population in terms of help seeking and in terms of reducing suicide. And the findings also suggest that it's of crucial importance to collaborate with other sectors like the entertainment industry and creative arts in order to develop powerful narratives that resonate well with diverse audiences, just like the Logic Song.